Dave knows how.
Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'd like to talk about this finish mower. And this finish mower has given me a fit as far as being quick hitch ready. It is not quick hitch ready, and it was a real struggle to get this thing to work with the quick hitch. And it's still not perfect, but I had kind of almost given up on making it perfect, or perfect in my world anyway. Until last week, someone posted in one of the tractor forums a kit that Woods makes for their finish mowers to convert them from non-quick hitch compatible to quick hitch compatible. And when I seen it, I was like, well, wait a minute, that's got a lot of the same components that I use, you know. Maybe I should venture down this rabbit hole again. So that's what this video is going to be about. If you have a finish mower that is not quick hitch ready and you'd like it to be, this may be a video you might want to watch. If you don't have one, you're not interested, you may not want to watch the video. Okay, this could be a little bit long, I'm not sure. Anyhow, the first problem that I ran into with this finish mower, and this is a relatively inexpensive finish mower. I got a great deal on it, bought it used, and it has served me very, very well. The first problem was where the lower lift arms connect. The distance between the two was completely wrong for a quick hitch. It lacked about 1.5 inches to go onto the quick hitch. So the way I tried to work around that was these fit in this slot like that. They come out, okay, and these pins hold it in place. So, you know, you can put this in here and this will float up and down. So if you're not using a quick hitch, you would kind of want this to float up and down. But if you're using a quick hitch, you gotta keep it more rigid, so you put 2 pins in it, and that keeps it from floating. So, you know, one of the problems I had was the distance here was wrong. So what I ended up doing, I ended up moving each one of these to the outside and just pinning it just like that on the outside. So that moved it over, and then it was able to hit onto that quick hitch. But then I had another problem. Throat right here, the distance between this pin and the back isn't quite deep enough for this thing to get a full rotation on the quick hitch. So that was another problem. Honestly, it was probably enough, but I'd like for it to have been a little bit better. So the next issue I had was with the top length and trying to get it hooked up here. So one of the first ways that I tried to cure that problem was I took these rigid pieces of steel off on both sides, and I replaced these with chains. And then I loosened up the bolts at the hinge point so that this thing would hinge back and forth. And I've got the bolts loose back here, so you can kind of give you an idea. Well, if I can get it off. Basically, this would hinge like this. However, that didn't work out too good. The problem was that the rotation point was up here, and the rotation point of this needed to be on the same axis, I guess that's the correct word to use, as the lower lift arms. So, you know, when I took these off, put the chains on and hooked the top of the quick hitch here, when it would rotate back, it would put it in a band. And it just didn't work at all. Now I figured I could probably move this A-frame to here, but the problem was this is like a 7/8 pin, and the hole in this is 1/2 inch. And that would have meant I'd have had to do some modifications, either drill this out or build a new pin. But regardless, either way, if I moved this down here, it was going to move it over, and it was going to move that one over, and then it wouldn't be enough room up here for the hook to hook in. So these were all kinds of problems that I ran into trying to adapt this thing over. But after seeing the post about the Woods kit, I decided I wanted to go down the rabbit hole again. Also, I might want to point out too, I put the rigid pieces back on here, took the chains off, and I went and got me one of these adapters, quick hitch adapters. And this thing hooks up just like this, and then you take the hook off the back of the quick hitch, and you slide this up on there, and you put the pin in it in place of the hook. So this takes the place of the hook. And in all honesty, it works fairly good. The thing I didn't like about it was every time I wanted to put this on, I had to take the hook off and install this. And then when I wanted to take this off, I had to uninstall this and put the hook back on. Was it a deal breaker? No. I had to get off tractor anyway to hook up a PTO shaft, so what difference did it make? But me being anal like I am, I wanted it better. Now, granted, I had pretty much given up and was just using it like this with this, and it was working fine. But like I said, when I seen that post, I was like, you know what? I sure would like to get this thing to work better with the quick hitch. And then I remembered that I had picked up a 6-foot finish mower. It's a Brush Hog brand that a guy was going to take to the scrapyard. It was just junk. The whole thing was shot. The gearbox had exploded. The deck was just rotted out with rust. There was no salvaging it. But this A-frame on it was good. This is pretty much what we got. We took the rigid pieces that went down right here off and installed these chains. And then this bracket right here came off of that 6-foot hog, now 6-foot finish mower. And when I went to put it on here, it wouldn't fit. So I ended up having to cut it and re-bend it to get it to go on here. And then I also had to drill an additional hole because the original hole was down here and this needed to be adjusted down. So I drilled a new hole here. I also made this piece right here that bolts in there that holds this on. So, you know, none of this was part of this A-frame right in here. It was basically just the A-frame itself. It did have this bolt through here with this piece in it, and that was pretty much it. So, you know, I went to the steel shop and got this piece of steel and cut this out to fit on here and drilled it. And then I picked up these pins at Tractor Supply and got them on there. And it actually works pretty good. This rotates back like that. The chain is a little bit adjustable. You can unscrew it right here and adjust it. There's more slack on the other end, so you can get a little more slack out of it if need be. I really don't need to because I've got a hydraulic top link, so I can kind of adjust the top link on the fly if I need to. But in all honesty, if anything, it needs to be a little bit shorter for my application. It's, you know, might be a little bit loose for what I do since I have the adjustable top link. Somebody else, though, you would probably want about this much slack. You know, if you're mowing like I'm mowing, I'm mowing down into a ditch, and so this thing needs to articulate down, you know, and be able to mow the side of that ditch. But what I did, you know, there's a nut on this side and there's a nut in here with a lock washer, and it's got that sandwiched together onto this rigid. And then this nut back here actually has a set screw that is drilled into it. So when I put this nut on, I didn't tighten it up all the way. I tightened it up far enough, you know, where it took all the slack out of it side to side. And then I just tighten up that set screw with an Allen wrench, and that, you know, it locks it in place. Also, I put some grease in there. And on this particular one, I machined a bushing to go in there to bushing this piece between it and this pin that this thing is riding on. So there's a bushing in there as well. You know, you wouldn't necessarily have to have the bushing if you didn't have a way to make a bushing. You know, you could just drill this hole a little loose fit on here, and then, you know, put your nut on there and put a set screw and lock it down. I mean, that would take care of it. Anyway, this thing, when it comes time to hook this thing up on a tractor, man, it is like night and day difference between what the setup that I had, which is sitting over there, you know, with that top link adapter and all that mess. I mean, the way I've got this thing set up now, I can, if I drop off the box blade and back up to this thing, I don't have to adjust my hook or anything. It goes right on. And all I have to do is get off the tractor and hook up the PTO shaft. And, you know, in the summertime when you're using it a lot, it's pretty easy to hook up the PTO shaft because, you know, it stays clean, it stays lubricated, you know. So, you know, everything on it functions really smooth, you know. It's when these things set and aren't being used and then you go to use them, that's when they kind of become a pain in the butt to get the PTO shaft on because you're not using it. So it's not staying lubricated and, you know, you're not keeping it lubricated and it's getting full of dust and dirt and rust and grime and everything else. And you know, that's making it kind of difficult to hook up, but it actually hooks up pretty easy. So I am really, really super pleased with how this turned out. The only thing that I'm going to change on this is I'm going to get some covering to go on this chain, and I've got it over there in the shed. It was I ordered it. I think it was off of Amazon. The lady and man that originally posted about the Woods kit, they looked into building their own kit, and so they located the stuff to go over the chain, and they was nice enough to send me a link, so I went and bought some of that. And I'm gonna put that on here, you know, just cause I bought it, and I'll have it, and you know, it'll look a little bit better, you know, functionally, is it any better? Probably not, but it will make it look a little better, cause the chain, it is a little rusted. I put some black paint on it, but it's still kind of rusty looking. Anyhow, that's it for this video. Appreciate you guys watching. Summertime's getting ready to get cranked up. Stay safe out there, be careful, but most of all, have fun, enjoy life. Life is short, man, and you know, you don't really realize how fragile it is until it's too late, most of the time. So enjoy yourself, enjoy life, enjoy each other. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.